very talented bunch of guys.
This is a real band.
So we gotta be with you in the editing room to find out exactly what you're putting into this thing.
No camera, no.
Like a star's microphone, the first 4 feet presented.
This is a rockumentary.
Catapult pillar, the falls, the slip break, winds.
Because I thought about all my answers.
When that red light's on, does it mean it's recording?
Bang to the 3-jailed sunsets, extend and contract. I swivel from this piping black hole, unleashing bow tie.
Yeah, Mark, Chris and I all went to school together, and Rob and I met from playing at his school with some of his friends.
Mark I met sort of the day Welcome was formed. I didn't know him from high school or anything like that. He was just introduced to me by Stu.
I knew Mark when I was a little kid. Mark was friends with my cousin. I never knew Chris before, I never knew Colin before. Met Stu in high school from friends who played in bands.
And Colin and I met it from playing with a band that he shared a rehearsal spot with, a band that he played with. We played our first gig, I think it was December 17th or something like that, or maybe November 25th. And then by the following February, we started recording a CD. Ever since I can remember, I was playing an instrument, so I don't really remember not playing an instrument.
Well, I knew Stuart when he was a kid. So I watched him when, you know, other kids were going to school dances and playing soccer and hanging out in pool halls, and Stuart spent his whole life with a guitar wrapped around his neck.
They were all making this band, and I wanted to be in the band, and I didn't know what to play. So I just picked the keyboards, and just, like, I didn't have an overwhelming, like, desire to play them or anything. It was just because it was the only thing left.
That's the first bass I ever bought.
When I started playing guitar, I just wanted to be like a good guitar player.
My mom tells me, and I sort of remember that I used to like pull out the pots and pans and you know, bang along. The first album that I actually bought, I think, was Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run.
The Police, Synchronicity.
Thriller, Michael Jackson.
Sgt. Pepper's by the Beatles.
Well, in the past, definitely no denying that the Beatles are probably the biggest musical influence.
Chris, the drummer, Skip, he had heard that we were recruiting a local band for the Headstone show for our 4th Halloween party. And he heard that I was floating about, and I guess it got around town, but I guess he started actively leaving messages on my machine saying, well, you have to come out and see us. So I lugged the program director, Greg, out, and we went down to the Rebar and sat through a couple of other acts. And, you know, you have to sit through those 45-minute sets with bands that you're not going to, you know for sure after the first song, that you're not going to be bringing to the Halloween Howler. Anyway, it got time Welcome got on stage, and I think that within the first 2 or 3 songs, you know, Greg was sitting there smoking cigarettes. Just tell them. So after the show, I said, yeah, you guys, by that time I'd had so much beer. Like, yeah, you guys can come to our party and play. So they were pretty excited. They knew that we were there for that. We tried to keep it a secret, but you know, the excessive ordering of beer over to the table kind of gave it away.
Played with Everclear.
Widemouth Mason, Dana Manning, the New Meanies.
The Waltons, the Headstones, the Odds.
Everclear, 5440, Odds.
Really giving her. He's giving her shit. Really giving her. Look at him.
Hello? Hello? This guy said he was gonna be here. Let's take a look inside here. I heard a piano or something. I don't even think he's a friend of mine. I think he's making it up.
In all seriousness, I've known the guys from Welcome probably about 4 years. Yeah, Evelyn Tremble's played many times with Welcome. 2, no, 3. 3 times.
Do you have a good time when you played those guys?
We have an awesome time playing with those guys. Not a documentary, a rockumentary.
Rockumentary, that's right. That's what we're gonna call it.
They rock like nobody's business.
A very talented bunch of guys with a lot of potential, and that was the first time that I saw them. I said, well, you know, these guys have a lot of potential, and it's something that's rare. You see bands play, but you also like to see, well, there's room for improvement and there's room for a lot of potential. And I think that was a key word, and I think it still is today. And as long as you maintain that, you'll be fine.
Pave me a sidewalk through it. Trim the edges clean. Climb up here and hide in my cedar tree. You don't know who to be.
You know what? It actually, a lot of it reminds me, it's very similar to the Odds. This is a musician's band. If you're a fan of music, you will like this band.
Broken doorknobs, logs are past. We're trying pick and press buttons, but nothing shows. Don't know where to go. I'll be up here until the subside. I've rung out that crinkling ride until I can. Then who are you to say that I'm doing fine just where I am?
It's just really good to see that they've made some gains, and they've made some great gains. And when I saw them a few weeks ago, I had to congratulate them because they've done really well, and their sound now is tight, and they look good, they look polished on stage, and I think it's great.
Sound of my right hand clapping repeatedly. Don't have to fall asleep. I'll keep my mouth shut and
I suppose try to play as much as we can so that we can get to know each other better through music, and that'll come across off stage, and then hopefully the audience will like that.
in a gust, here I'm forced to rush. Dear, I'm losing touch. Fear I hide. Silly boys stare at stuccoed walls. I'm that devil face where she sat.
definitely. We've learned a lot about each other in the last year, probably year and a half. You know, we know how to deal with each other, and like we can tell like when one guy's mad or when one guy doesn't want to be with the rest of us or something like that.
It's definitely, I would consider it a relationship of some kind, you know, where, you know, there's some commitment.
I can't find a farm and understand how could be what I am. No, 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 no.
Rock, do you think all bands fight?
Well, Colin, I'm glad you asked that. It's a very good question. I think that a band is like a marriage. And married people fight, don't they, Colin?
Rock, you're not an actor.
Robin is probably the one guy that he's almost schizophrenic, like he has multiple personalities, like he can do all these accents and things and it just cracks you up the whole time, you know, like whether it's, you know, his Mexican accent or his, you know, Chinese guy that he invented or something like that, you know, so he always keeps us entertained. But
Hi, I'm Rob Morgan, the guitar player for the band Welcome. Hey man, I'm Rocco Morgan from the band Welcome, man. I play guitar, alright. Hi, I'm Rob Morgan, the guitar player for Welcome. Thank you. Yo, I'm Rob Morgan, the guitar player for Welcome.
A lot of the songs are just paintings turned into stories, and a lot of times, like, the first verse will just be like giving a description of the setting, and then suddenly just things start rolling and it becomes a storyline or something.
My teeth follow through, summer lips on you, in the pedestrian pose you bloomed and rose. I can wait forever, you're still there.
Stuart, very much like the rest of Welcome, devote themselves completely to the song. That's what it's all about, and you know, that is a large part of the live and recorded appeal of that band.
Are you still there? Are you still there? Oh, how would you move up with the room?
Lyrics are important to anyone, I think. It's the first thing you really remember about a song sometimes, you know, other than maybe the melody.
Checkered clothing on me, slippery skin on me. The white autumn grows, blooms in indigo.
You bring up a good point when you talk about melodies and catchy tunes, and that's what Welcome has. They have a lot of that. And they also keep it simple, which is something a lot of other bands don't do.
Still there? Are you 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 still there? Have we really been sold? It's what we probably owe. And we can't find the way through the pockets of change. And all that we don't know will soon unfold, like a pedestrian pose that bloomed and rose. Are you still there? Are you still there?
Is the earth getting lighter or heavier as the population grows?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, right now we're recording 5 songs, and then we're probably going to take a break and record another 5 songs and release another full-length disc.
There is is no particular pinpointing of the sound. And then they've also introduced some new material recently that, you know, they could go in a number of different ways.
I think it's way healthier when the whole band can be involved in everything, you know, because nobody wants to not be a part of it or feel like they're not a part of it.
You know, Stu put it pretty well in Vancouver. He's saying, like, remembering that when you're playing your instrument onto tape, you know, if that song were ever to get to radio, well, you've got to play through your mic, then through that cable to the wall, and then from that cable to the recorder, and then from that recorder to the mixing recorder, and then from that mixing recorder to the disc, and from that disc to the CD player, and then from that CD player at the radio station to the airwaves. So you've got this whole thing that you've got to exert energy through so that it comes across as like, wow.
I just want to have a fold-out pop-up book for an insert where you can take like 3D glasses, look at the pop-up fold-out thing with the information on it through the 3D glasses. I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe third or fourth album, I don't know.
$4.45. Drops it all.
She leans back in her beanbag chair. She doesn't feel right. He's bent backwards over her and makes him feel right. She doesn't feel right. Around him, around him, around him, around him. She doesn't feel right around him, around him, around him, around him. She leans back in her beanbag chair. She doesn't feel right. She's bent backwards.
The live show is a completely different entity from the album making or the songwriting, and that 90% of a live show is presentation. And we've played shows, I know, where we jump up and down and dance all around and play like shit. And everybody will love it and say it's the best show we ever played. And then we'll play a show where it's tight, and we just sit there and do our thing. And it doesn't come off the same. It comes off looking worse, even if it is better.
I lose girls left, right, and center at a welcome show.
I mean, the whole thing about a welcome show is there's a real positive vibe coming off it. It's very charismatic, it's attractive.
She finds him very insightful, but honestly, is that what she needs? Why should she waste his and her time? She feels full of rejection and humble pie. Feel a mind too far into my regret.
So yeah, we've still got to really iron out some wrinkles in terms of that whole showmanship thing. you spent a lot of time working on the music, and now it's time to forget about the music and you know, put the show on.
Chris used to like to take his clothes off all the time, which really was when we first like got together and I hardly knew him. It was kind of like made me a little uncomfortable. Like at rehearsal, he'd come in, he'd be playing, and all of a sudden he'd get hot. So he'd take off his shirt and then he'd just keep playing. It'd still be hot, so he'd take off his pants and take off his socks and he'd be playing in his underwear.
Chris is very comfortable with his sexuality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he always walks in on you when you're taking showers too, and I don't understand why. So I need my toothbrush, or I need my contacts as soon as you jump in the shower.
Do you like road trips, or are they kind of a pain in the ass?
No, it's the best part of it. Yeah, it is. I love it. Going different places and seeing, you know, like going to Calgary where I haven't been very many times, and I know that tomorrow during the day or Sunday, I can just go walk around and go, you know, places I've never been before.
And the roughest cuts, and the zealous rapidly swells.
That's one thing about this band that's consistent. Crappy driving records all around. Everybody's got a crappy driving record.
I feel for the moonlight, do you? I admit the goldfish bowl was a good idea, but nothing compares to this element.
Sleeping in the same beds at times and whatnot. I mean, you have to really swallow a lot of things and whoops. Hold on, sleeping in the same bed and swallowing some things.
Walk on hot coals of this, and for the world this I would miss. I feel for the moonlight, do you?
The funniest Robin story has got to be the chicken sandwich story from Wendy's. And we were on our way to Calgary a couple months ago to do a show. We decided to stop in Leduc to get gas, and then we went to the Wendy's. And we're all like ordering our burgers and whatnot, and he orders the Wendy's crispy chicken. And so like blah, blah, blah. I'm driving away, get on the highway, and all of a sudden Robin goes, "Holy shit, I don't think this chicken's cooked." And we looked at it, it was pink, totally pink. Like it looked like someone just thawed it out and slapped it on the bun.
I haven't eaten chicken since then.
Yeah, that's smoking Mark Rempel and his electric love-pumping organ.
Calgary's actually the place we've had the hardest time getting into.
Really?
Yeah, and getting gigs, yeah. Which is really weird because it's like, you know, the closest place. We've actually played more shows in Saskatoon and Regina than we've played in Calgary.
They're not funny people.
We wanted a way that we can play more and also make more money to, you know, to afford to record without private investors and afford to buy a band and stuff like that. So we made 3 alter ego bands out of the same band. We made Rotting Fruit, which is the dress-up band, then Blind Lemon Gin and the Tonics, which is the same band except we don't dress up and we play, like, you know, neighborhood pubs and stuff like that. And then we've got the Hay Balers, which we've only done like 2 gigs with, but it's where we play bluegrass songs and country songs, old country stuff with, you know, upright bass and acoustic guitars and accordion kind of thing.
The Rotten Fruit's good because we can just do whatever we want and we don't have to care. It's the most... You can wear carrots in your pants and get really drunk and it doesn't... It's the letting go, have fun band. Don't have to take it. It makes you remember that it doesn't always have to be serious and uptight and straight.
So does everyone here like beer? Does everyone like it? Beer commercials? So I sat in the rain till the...
I see that they're going to be signed one day. I really think that that's going to happen in the next little while. Sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it takes a little more. But they're working towards that, and I think that because of the talent within the band, they could potentially be signed down the road.
Doing it all the time, it gets so frustrating and tiring times you think, I've had enough, but I'm positive that if I quit or did something else, I'd always look back and think, I should have kept doing it.
We'd like to be maybe, well, definitely I know we want to go to England, we want to play there. We'd like to go maybe down to somewhere down in the States. The California scene is really big on pop music, you know, in pop in all aspects, because pop music is such a broad label, you know, because there's so many different types of pop music.
We've been talking about going to UK and not necessarily moving there, but sort of not focusing so much on Canada because it's way too big to be able to, you know, you got 8 hours between cities in a lot of cases. That in the UK, in 8 hours, you could go through 5 major cities.
Well, we have a direction in that, like, we all want to just, I mean, we'd all be happy, you know, just being able to make a living, which we haven't reached that point yet. But, I mean, I'd be happy if I was just able to always be working and traveling and be able to pay the bills and be able to play, you know, every night. I'd be happy.